Om. Sahano bhavatu, sahano bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye. Jai Gurudev. Hari Om. Brahmaraji, I should read from the first verse or from the in between I should read? Chapter 7.
We'll start from the first verse, Bela.
Okay.
Because we've done only what, 11 today, no? 10 we've completed, 10 or 12 maybe.
No. Yeah, we completed, I think, 13.
13. Yeah, we'll chant all from the beginning. Yeah.
Okay. It's fine. Just give me 2 minutes.
Bela, you can chant from your book, because otherwise scrolling up and down will take a long time.
Yeah, okay. That's
yeah.
better.
So you leave the PDF as it is at verse 12 or 13, and you just chant from your Bhagavad Gita text. If you want me to chant, I will chant. No problem.
Please, Bhagavad Gita. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can chant directly from that.
Yeah. Okay. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Saktamana Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayah Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Gyasyasi Tachrunu Jnanam Teham Savijnanam Idam Vakshamya Sheshatah Yajñatva Neha Bhuyonyat Jnatavyamavashishyate Manusyanam Sahasreshu Kashidyatati Siddhaye Yatatamapi Siddhanam Kashinmam Veti Tattvataha Bhumirapo nalo vayuhu kham mano buddhirev cha ahamkara iti yamme bhinna prakritirashtadha apareyamitastvamnyam prakritim viddhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat एतद्योनीनि भूतानि सर्वाणीत्युपधारय अहं कृत्स्नस्य जगतः प्रभवः प्रलयस्तथा मत्तः परतरं नान्यत् किञ्चिदस्ति धनञ्जय मयि सर्वमिदं प्रोतं सूत्रे मणिगणा इव रसोऽहमप्सु कौन्तेय प्रभास्मि शशिसूर्ययोः प्रणवः सर्ववेदेषु शब्दः खे पौरुषं नृषु पुण्यो गन्धः पृथिव्यां च तेजश्चास्मि विभावसौ जीवनं सर्वभूतेषु तपश्चास्मि तपस्विषु बीजं मां सर्वभूतानां विद्धि पार्थ सनातनं बुद्धिर्बुद्धिमताम् अस्मि तेजस्तेजस्विनामहं बलं बलवतां चाहं Kamaraga vivarjitam dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. Ye chaiva satvika bhava rajasastamasa matta eveti tan viddhi natvaham teshu te mayi tribhir gunamayair bhavairebhihi. Yesterday you told me tribhir gunamayair bhavaihi. No.
Abhis. Correct, that's correct. Abhihi. Abhis sarvatra. That is how it is.
Sarvamidam jagat. Tribhir gunamayair bhavairebhihi sarvamidam jagat. Kshamedam. Brahmaraji, you yesterday.
Tribhir gunamayair yebhihi. Can you read the shloka? Because I don't have the book here with me.
Yeah. Tribhir gunamayair bhavaihi sarvamidam jagat.
Tribhir gunamayair bhavaihi yebhis sarvamidam jagat.
Yes. Tribhir gunamayair bhavaihi त्रिगुणमयैर्भावैः एभिः सर्वं जगत्. Brahmaraji,
Bhavaihi is correct, and ebhis sarvamidam jagat. You don't need to say ebhihi, then it will become a little. Ebhis sarvatra.
So visarga lopa bhavati.
Yeah, visarga takes you half it. Yeah.
त्रिभिर्गुणमयैर्भावैः एभिर्वयं जगत् मोहितं नाभिजानाति मामेभ्यः परमव्ययम् दैवी ह्येषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते. I'll just read the Pratipadartha of 14. I'll just repeat the 14th verse because it is, we started yesterday. It is very important verse. I will just read. Though we have completed this verse, I will read once again. Indeed, this my Maya, which is in the form of the modification of the three gunas, which belongs to me, the Lord, is difficult to cross. Those who seek only me, they cross this Maya. Maya is difficult to overcome. Right in the beginning, Lord Krishna says, Esha mama Maya duratyayahi. Indeed, this Maya of mine is difficult to cross. Deluded by the modifications of the mind, we are not able to recognize our identity with Ishvara. Further, he says that this Maya is Daivi, belongs to the Lord, and is Gunamayi, endowed with the three gunas. As we have seen, the conditions of the mind are all products of the qualities of Maya, that is, products of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Thus, Maya is Gunamayi, endowed with the three gunas. It is this Maya manifesting as the mental modifications that seemingly obstructs the recognition of Ishvara. That has to be overcome. The reality has to be seen as it is. And it is Daivi, it belongs to Ishvara. The very basis of Maya is Parmeshwara. So it doesn't affect him, it becomes a power for him. Pervading everything, Parmeshwara is called Vishnu. And this Maya is his Swabhava, his nature. His Swarupa is different as we have seen, but his Swabhava is omniscient, almighty, and so on. All these qualities are due to Maya, and it is the product of this Maya that we are not able to easily overcome. Even though it is not impossible to cross this Maya, Lord Krishna acknowledges here that it is difficult. The difficulty is that when you are overwhelmed by or under the spell of the gunas, there is no possibility of overcoming them. Unless you are able to see yourself as distinct from them, you cannot recognize them as the causes for all the activities of the mind. The difficulty is that one sees this only when one is not under the spell of the gunas. In other words, to get out of the spell, you have to be out of the spell. This is a problem. You cannot get out of the spell unless you are out of the spell, and as long as you are under the spell, you cannot get out of the spell. And you want to get out of the spell. This is a very difficult situation. Even though difficult, it is possible to cross Maya. Having said how difficult it is, Krishna does not leave it there. He says here that there is one way out. Ye mam eva prapadyante etam mayam tarantite. Those who seek only me, they cross this Maya. Those who pursue only me, mam eva prapadyante. They cross over, te taranti, this Maya, etam mayam. If they are under the spell of Maya, searching for a way to overcome it within the very Maya, they cannot cross it. In the name of searching for a solution, they will remain under the spell of Maya. They have to seek me alone. Only then can they get out of the spell of Maya. So beautiful. Try to please recall Matta Para, Matta Chitta and Avyabhicharini Bhakti. Later, Krishna is going to say, having totally surrendered all dharmas and adharmas unto me, may you approach me as the only refuge. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. This is chapter 18, verse 66. Keeping that fact in view, he says here, Mam eva ye prapadyante, those who seek me alone. Shankara immediately follows this Mam with the adjective Svatma Bhutam, the one who is of the nature of oneself, the one who is Sarvatma, the self of everything. Me, who is of the nature of oneself, they seek as the self of everything, the basis of this Maya, which is non-separate from oneself, the seeker's Atma. At the same time, it is totally free from Maya and its products, the guna modifications. Those who seek refuge only in this Atma will cross Maya. I read once again. Later, Krishna is going to say, having totally surrendered all dharmas and adharmas unto me, may you approach me as the only refuge. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. That is from chapter 18, verse 66. Keeping that fact in view, he says here, Mam eva ye prapadyante, those who seek me alone. Shankara immediately follows this Mam with the adjective Svatma Bhutam, the one who is of the nature of oneself, the one who is Sarvatma, the self of everything. Me, who is of the nature of oneself, they seek as the self of everything, the basis of this Maya, which is non-separate from oneself, the seeker's Atma. At the same time, it is totally free from Maya and its products, the guna modifications. Those who seek refuge only in this Atma will cross Maya. Shankara's expression Sarvatma can also mean those who seek Paramatma with all their being, with their whole hearts and souls. For the inquiry and the Vastu itself, there is love and the commitment is total. So, Sarvatma can mean a person who is emotionally committed to this pursuit. Such a person alone, such a people alone cross this Maya, which Shankara says is Mohini. I will read the last two lines again. Shankara's expression Sarvatma can also mean those who seek Paramatma with all their being, with their whole hearts and souls. For the inquiry and the Vastu itself, there is love and the commitment is total. So, Sarva Atma can mean a person who is emotionally committed to this pursuit. Such a person alone, such people alone cross this Maya, which Shankara says is Mohini. Maya is Mohini, the one who deludes. Mohini means the one who deludes by fascinating you and luring you away from your purpose. Lord Vishnu sometimes came as a Mohini, assuming the form of an enchanting girl. In one instance, he appeared in this form to an Asura who had invoked Lord Shiva, who is a reckless giver. He is easily satisfied. Therefore, he is called Ashutosha. Ashu, quickly, Tosha, one who is satisfied. And he does not think of the consequences of his giving. So, when the Asura performed austerities, tapas, and prayed, Lord Shiva appeared and asked him what he wanted. Being an Asura, he did not ask for anything we would consider very desirable. He asked that anyone whom he happened to touch should be reduced to ashes. Because of that, he is called Bhasmasura. Bhasma means ashes. And Lord Shiva said, Tathastu, so be it. Once Lord Shiva says Tathastu, he does not think about it. He is so satisfied with the devotee and his devotion that he grants whatever he wants. Thus, when Lord Shiva said, Tathastu, let it be so. As you have asked, you will have. Whomsoever you touch, you will find to be a heap of ashes. When this was granted to Bhasmasura, he wanted to know if it worked. He said to Lord Shiva, you may be deceiving me, so please give me your head. Let me try it on you first. Lord Shiva ran for his life. He ran from one place to another and finally went to Lord Vishnu, who is generally the rescuer. Lord Vishnu then appeared to the Asura in the form of a Mohini, a highly fascinating girl. Now, when Lord Vishnu assumes this form, he manifests all charms wrapped up in one physical frame. With all his wiles and charms, Lord Vishnu came in the form of this Mohini, whom he created out of his Maya. And when the Asura saw her, he forgot what he was searching for. He had been running after Lord Shiva, but Lord Shiva disappeared and the Mohini entered his head. And wherever the Mohini went, he went after her. Then the Mohini said, you are an Asura, and without chanting the Gayatri mantra, you cannot touch me because I am a celestial damsel. He said he would touch her after chanting the Gayatri. Now, before one chants the Gayatri mantra, one has to touch one's head and say Pranavasya. When he put his hand on his head, he became a heap of ashes. Because of this, he was known as Bhasmasura. Lord Vishnu appeared as Mohini in many such instances. Maya, therefore, is Sarvabhuta Mohini, the deluder of all creatures. No one is an exception to this. Maya lures a person and keeps him fascinated. Therefore, he forgets everything. This is Mohini, and it comes in a variety of forms: power, money, and so on. This Maya, the one who enchants everyone, keeps all people under its spell until they cross over. How do they overcome Maya? Krishna says, because I am the one who has crossed over by seeking me alone, they overcome the Maya. In fact, I am the one who has always been free, and I remain as the Atma of everyone. Therefore, there is no real difficulty if they seek me. Therefore, those who seek me alone cross over this Maya. Mam eva ye prapadyante mayam e mayam atitaranti te. I hope I read correctly. Mam eva ye prapadyante mayam atiranti te. They cross over this Maya spell. If you want me to read anything once again, because there was voice breakage, so kindly let me know if you want me to read anything from the previous paragraph.
Yeah, where they said no, ki when you touch your head, that bhasma, that related paragraph you read, please.
Yeah. Okay. Then
This
the
is
Mohini.
nice story.
Yeah, very beautiful. Bhagwan's all these Mohini Roop stories are always very beautiful.
You know how tricky they devise everything and nicely
Yeah.
get it first time.
Yeah. Then the Mohini said, you are an Asura, and without chanting the Gayatri mantra, you cannot touch me because I am a celestial damsel. He said he would touch her after chanting the Gayatri. Now, before one chants the Gayatri mantra, one has to touch one's head and say Pranavasya. When he put his hand on his head, he became a heap of ashes. Because of this, he was known as Bhasmasura. Lord Vishnu appeared as a Mohini in many such instances. Maya, therefore, is Sarva Bhuta Mohini, the deluder of all creatures. No one is an exception to this. Maya lures a person and keeps him fascinated. Therefore, he forgets everything. This is Mohini, and it comes in a variety of forms: power, money, and so on. This Maya, the one who enchants everyone, keeps all people under its spell until they cross over. How do they overcome Maya? Krishna says, because I am the one who has
Can you
crossed.
go back to page 470? The last
Yeah,
sentence, you read it very fast. It was important.
yeah. I read once again. Lord Vishnu appeared as Mohini in many such instances. Maya, therefore, is Sarva Bhuta Mohini, the deluder of all creatures. No one is an exception to this. Maya lures a person and keeps him fascinated. Therefore, he forgets everything. This is Mohini, and it comes in a variety of forms: power, money, and so on. This Maya, the one who enchants everyone, keeps all people under its spell until they cross over.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is very important line. How do they overcome Maya? Krishna says, because I am the one who has crossed over by seeking me alone, they overcome the Maya. In fact, I am the one who has always been free, and I remain as the Atma of everyone. Therefore, there is no real difficulty if they seek me. Therefore, those who seek me alone cross over this Maya. Mam eva ye prapadyante mayam atitaranti te. In the shloka, they mentioned taranti. Here, atitaranti. Okay. Some erroneous interpretations of verses like this. Some erroneous interpretations of verses like this. These verses are all celebrated by devotees. Devotion itself is not a problem. The problem arises when, out of that devotion, a philosophy is created. In commenting on a verse like this, some devotees will say that this statement means that by worshipping Krishna alone, one can cross this Maya. If anyone worships any other god, that person cannot cross this Maya. There is a small Upanishad called Kali Santarana Kali Santarana Upanishad. I'm sorry if I mispronounced. Kali Shantaranopanishad. Kali Shantaranopanishad, which presents the mantra Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. And based on this, there is a popular verse. There is a footnote. Kalau Chittanam Papavyopajeevinam Vidikriya Vihinanam Harer Namaiva Kevalam. Very beautiful. Kalau Chittanam Papavyopajeevinam Vidikriya Vihinanam Harer Namaiva Kevalam. Wow. So Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, and based on this, there is a popular verse which says that to overcome impurities in the Kali Yuga, chanting the name of Hari alone is enough. Whether this Upanishad added later or not, we do not know, but it is counted as one of the Upanishads in the 108 Upanishads. There is the mantra Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. This is called Maha Mantra also. Okay. In this mantra, Rama is called first, Krishna second. Now, a devotee in the Hare Krishna sect will not say Rama first. He will start with Hare Krishna and then say Hare Rama, because he considers Krishna superior. The belief is that you must worship only Krishna, because Lord Krishna said here, Mam eva Krishnam eva. Therefore, he alone should be worshipped. Then he will take you away from Maya to his abode in Vaikuntha. The problem is, Vaikuntha is also within Maya.
Can you believe
So
that?
beautiful.
Everything is Maya except one.
Except
Even
that one truth.
I couldn't say even that one, that Maya includes within that one. So
Correct.
it's not like except one. It's within that one.
It is so beautiful, but we feel wow only. We have to wonder only. Prapatti. Another religious sect claims that in this verse, Bhagavan is saying that the only way to cross Maya is to totally surrender to Vishnu. They ritualize it and call it prapatti. Prapatti or prapatti, Brahmaraji, Kshamyatam if
It's
I'm wrong.
Prapati.
Astu, astu,
I don't
dhanyavad.
know. Dr. Ramana also
They,
can say it.
yeah, prapatti. As a part of the,
Have you heard the Venkatesha Suprabhadam, in that, initially there will be a Sostram, second one is the Prapati, and then the
okay,
third one is Mangala Sasanam, they sing it in the morning.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Prapatti only, yeah, right.
yeah. They ritualize it and call it prapatti. As a part of the ritual, they tattoo a conch shankha on one hand and a disc chakra on the other, symbolizing a total surrender to Lord Vishnu, who carries a shankha in one hand and a chakra in the other. It is symbolic and there is no problem with this. The Shankha symbolizes a call, a message, and Chakra stands for the destruction of ignorance. Perhaps the idea is that apparently Krishna is saying, if you respond to my call of the Veda, then my disc will take care of your samsara. It will destroy your ignorance, your sorrow. So beautiful. But in the Vedic tradition, you are not supposed to injure your body or anyone else's. It is himsa, injury. Burning, specially, is considered to be a very sinful action. In any case, some devotees do this with the thought, you are the only refuge for me. With my body, my mind, senses, etc., I surrender to you. This surrender is very beautiful. But the difficulty is, how do you surrender? How are you going to surrender the body, mind, and senses to the Lord when they are the Lord? Further, you yourself, your physical body, mind, your mind, and all the created products are born of Maya. If your Atma, the one that is surrendering, is also a product, how are you going to cross Maya by surrendering in this way? You can only remain within it. So beautiful. I'll just read once again. But in the Vedic tradition, you are not supposed to injure your body or anyone else's. It is himsa, injury. Burning, specially, is considered to be a very sinful action. In any case, some devotees do this with the thought, you are the only refuge for me. With my body, my mind, senses, etc., I surrender to you. This surrender is very beautiful. But the difficulty is, how do you surrender? How are you going to surrender the body, mind, and senses to the Lord when they are the Lord? Further, you yourself, your physical body, your mind, and all the created products are born of Maya. If your Atma, the one that is surrendering, is also a product, how are you going to cross Maya? By surrendering in this way, you can only remain within it. The religion of Prapatti advocates surrender alone and claims that Bhagavan teaches this here when he says, Ye mam eva prapadyante. It says that the word mam in this statement indicates Vishnu because Krishna is Vishnu. The word eva indicates that Vishnu alone is to be worshipped, not any other devata, not Shiva, Allah, or the Father in heaven. And a simple act of devotion, he says, is not enough. Prapatti, total surrender is required. Ye prapadyante means those people who are doing this prapatti surrender. So well explained. Another difficulty is
So
that
all these are actually misinterpretations of this verse. We should understand that Swamiji is giving us an explanation of how this verse
is wrongly
is wrongly interpreted
Hmm.
by those that believe that only Krishna will redeem them. When by surrender, prapadyante, mam eva prapadyante. So therefore this prapatti has come in. So these are all misinterpretations. So that we should keep in mind as we're reading, as we're understanding this.
Yeah, because we all, I mean, whole our existence is within man.
It's
Maya,
within
within
Maya, exactly. Even Gurudev says, what will you surrender? What belongs to you for you to surrender? Everything is Maya Janitam. So that by surrender, you're not going to get there. Ultimately, it is only knowledge, and that is the only sword by which we can. Go ahead, Vela. Just continue to read.
A further difficulty is that since Krishna says, Ye Mam Prapadyante, we now have Mam indicating Ishvara and Ye indicating the Jivas, individuals. The devotees are doing the act of Prapatti and the object of their surrender is Lord Vishnu. Therefore, there is duality, Kartri Karma Veda and Jiva Ishvara Veda. To consider that Ishvara and Jiva are different is to dismiss moksha because there is no possibility of moksha when there is duality. My intention here is not to discredit Prapatti or any other form of worship. I just wanted to show you some of the endless distortions that are possible and how necessary proper understanding is for moksha. I read the last two paragraphs once again because there was voice break. A further difficulty is that since Krishna says, Ye Mam Prapadyante, we now have Mam indicating Ishvara and Ye indicating the Jivas, individuals. The devotees are doing the act of Prapatti and the object of their surrender is Lord Vishnu. Therefore, there is duality, Kartri Karma Veda and Jiva Ishvara Veda. To consider that Ishvara and Jiva are different is to dismiss moksha because there is no possibility of moksha when there is duality. My intention here is not to discredit Prapatti or any other form of worship. I just wanted to show you some of the endless distortions that are possible and how necessary proper understanding is for moksha. Resolution of the seemingly duality. When Lord Krishna says, Ye Mam Prapadyante, there is a seeming duality. So we have to understand what he means by looking into the text. At the beginning of this chapter, I am going to teach you exactly what is knowledge along with immediate understanding without anything left out. Jnanam te aham savijnanam idam vachami ese satah. Asheshatah. Shamyata. Jnanam te aham savijnanam idam vakshami asheshatah. I will give you not merely knowledge, but immediate knowledge. Later, he's going to say, there are many people who are devoted to me. The distressed raise their prayers to me, as do those who want to accomplish things. And the people who want to know about me, of course, are devoted to me, as are the ones who do know me, the Jnanis. All of them are devotees. But understand that the Jnani is no longer separate from me. He is myself. Jnani tu Atmaiva Mema Matam. It is from chapter 18, verse 7. I read once again. Later, he is going to say, there are many people who are devoted to me. The distressed raise their prayers to me, as do those who want to accomplish things. And the people who want to know about me, of course, are devoted to me, as are the ones who do know me, the jnanis. All of them are devotees, but understand, the jnani is no longer separate from me. He is myself. Jnani tu atmaiva me matam. So the knowledge that Bhagavan has promised to teach resolves the duality between Jiva and Ishvara. So once that veil of ignorance is removed, then there is no Veda between Ishvara and Jiva. If you want me to read any paragraph, please let me know. Huh? He will also say clearly that he is the one entered into all beings as I, and that he is the Atma of all beings. Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivishtaha. That is from chapter 15, verse 15. As the space seemingly enters the pot as it is created, Atma, having created everything, seemingly enters everything, remaining the same as the uncreated basis of everything. Throughout the Shastra, the Jiva is never said to have been created, a very important thing to understand. The physical body, the mind, the senses are all created because they are assembled. But the Jiva is never created. It is the changeless Atma, the very Atma of every being. After the entire process of creation, Atma remains the same as the I of everything. And that I is independent of all the three gunas. I think this is the crux of the whole Bhagavad Gita. I will read this paragraph again. Please pay attention. He will also say very clearly that he is the one who has entered into all beings as I, and that he is the Atma of all beings. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha. That is from chapter 15, verse 15. As the space seemingly enters the pot as it is created, Atma, having created everything, seemingly enters everything, remaining the same as the uncreated basis of everything. Throughout the Shastra, the Jiva is never said to have been created, a very important thing to understand. The physical body, the mind, the senses are all created because they are assembled. But the Jiva is never created. It is the changeless Atma, the very Atma of every being. After the entire process of creation, Atma remains the same as the I of everything. And that I is independent of all the three gunas. These three gunas are to be overcome. How? Since Lord Vishnu has already overcome them, has them all under his control, Krishna says here, Mam eva prapadyante. They seek only me, the one who is everything. Then they are released. Introducing the next verse, Shankara says, if this is so, why doesn't everyone seek you? Krishna answered this here. If anyone wants to wants me to read anything, please let me know before we go to the 15th verse. Or share anything. Namam dushkritino mudhaah prapadyante naradhamaah Mayaya pahritajnana asuram bhavamashritah. Dushkrutinah, those who do wrong actions. Mudhah, those who are deluded. Naradhamah, the lowest among men. Na mam prapadyante, do not seek me. Mayaya, due to Maya. Apahrita jnanah, robbed of their discrimination. Asuram bhavam, state of reveling in sense pursuits or doing things that are not good for them. Ashritaha, they are the ones who have resorted to. Dushkrutinah mudhaah naradhamaah na mam prapadyante mayaya apahrita jnanah asuram bhavam ashritaah. Those who do wrong actions, who are deluded, and the lowest among men do not seek me. Robbed of their discrimination by Maya, they have resorted to the condition of those who revel in sense pursuits. I read once again. Those who do wrong actions, who are deluded, and the lowest among men do not seek me. Robbed of their discrimination by Maya, they have resorted to the condition of those who revel in sense pursuits. Who are the people who do not seek Ishvara at all? These are those who, even though they can cross over this Maya by seeking me, do not seek me, Mam na prapadyante. Why? Because they are mudhas, dushkritins, naradhamas, and mayayah apahartra jnanah. Apahartra ajnanah. You cannot say more. Krishna simply piled up all these characteristics, which in short make them asuram bhavam ashritah. People who have resorted to the condition of indulging in what is not good for them. Let us see the meaning of the individual words. I read once again because there was too much breakage of voice. Who are the people who do not seek Ishvara at all? These are those who, even though they can cross over this Maya by seeking me, do not seek me. Mam na prapadyante. Why? Because they are mudhas, dushkrutins, naradhamas, and mayaya apahrita ajnanah. You cannot say more. Krishna simply piled up all these characteristics, which, in short, make them asuram bhavam ashritah. People who have resorted to the condition of indulging in what is not good for them. Let us see the meaning of the individual words. Dushkrutinah means those who either in this life or in the previous ones have done wrong actions, papa karmas. And dushkrutins can also be taken as those who continue to do so. Mudhaha means those who are deluded. Why do they do these wrong actions? Because they are mudhaha, deluded. To put it in a simple form, they have a confusion of priorities. What exactly is important and what is not very clear. As a result, sometimes the end becomes so important, the propriety of the means is not considered. Even for religious fanatics, the end becomes so important that they compromise with reference to the means. This is an unfortunate thing. These people are called mudhas, deluded as they are about what is to be done and what is not to be done, karya and akarya. As a result, they become dushkrutins, people who did wrong actions previously and continue to do so under the spell of Maya. Naradamaha. Shankara says, among the human beings, there are people who are exalted. Utkrishta, lowly, adhama, 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 Shamyatam. Naradhama, Shankara says, among the human beings, there are people who are exalted, Utkrishta, lowly, Adhama, and in between average, Madhyama. So, Utkrishta, Adhama, and Madhyama. Being lowly in terms of behavior is entirely due to thinking. Essentially, there is no sinner. But due to ignorance and a lack of discrimination, people do behave improperly. They can gain a good discriminative faculty through doing good karma, at least in this life. But even for this, a change in thinking has to occur. That is why grace is required and therefore prayer. We just have to recall chapter 6 here. If you want
Can you
me
just
to
read that, that sentence one more time?
Yeah. Naradamaha, Shankara says, among the human beings, there are people who are exalted, Utkrishta, lowly, Adhama, and in between average, Madhyama. Being lowly in terms of behavior is entirely due to thinking. Essentially, there is no sinner. But due to ignorance and a lack of discrimination, people do behave improperly. They can gain a good discriminative faculty through doing good karma, at least in this life. But even for this, a change in thinking has to occur. That is why grace is required and therefore prayer. Brahmaraji, could you please explain the difference between karya and akarya?
I think what in the context, one second, let me just go that side.
I think they say like what is to be done, not to be done. That's what that is. What
It is, I
not...
think, with reference to the means. See, because the end becomes important, we don't give the importance to the means. Example, even religious activities. For instance, if it is japa and you wanted to do some number of malas, completing those malas becomes important. But whereas how you're doing it, are you doing it with devotion? Are you doing it with that ekagrata? That becomes, so the karya there. Akarya will become, you're just doing it for the sake of doing it. It is not with that pure intention, as to how it has to be done. That is my understanding. Maybe anyone else can add to this, and this can relate
It
to
also
anything.
says, Dr. Brahma says, what is to be done and not done. Like it's akarya is something you cannot do it.
Yeah, akarya, when it comes to madhyama, adhama people, that instead of pursuing him, they're all pursuing sense pursuits. That becomes akarya. So instead of become Atma Rama, they become Indriya Rama. They're indulging in the world outside. So that also can mean this akarya, what is not to be done.
Or the other part of it, the karya, that is adharmic way of doing things, that I'm not sure, just I thought. Then we say lowly person, meaning somebody who's getting things done without considering the dharma aspect of it.
Correct. I think all the sum total of all that comes into this aspect of akarya, where
Because
the means is not given importance. See, when you want just the end, like if you remember, there was an example, a person wants money. So in order to get this money, it does not matter to him whether he loots his neighbor or not. So the means there is adharmic. is not in conformance with dharma. So any adharmic activity, anything done without that element of bhakti, without prioritizing what is important, all that becomes akarya. Because Swamiji has not ruled out, has not left out, excluded religious activities. All those also. See, there are some, I mean, I can relate to myself. When you're doing a puja or something, your end is more important than actually what you're doing. Whereas every step of what you're doing, if you can revel and be in that moment and fill it with devotion, the end really doesn't matter, because every means, the means itself is so satisfying. So when we lose sight of the means and just hook on to the end, then I mean, if you're doing it dharmic way, maybe fine. But then if it goes side steps, then it becomes sakarya.
Okay, that's very beautiful. Brahmaraji, Kshamyatam, I will be able to read for another 4 minutes. Exactly at 7, I will have to just kindly help me. Anyone can take over the reading.
No problem.
Yeah.
Even I will have to leave at in another 5 minutes. Will you be able to share chapter 6?
Yeah. I will share. Yeah, I will share.
We'll have some manana on this for some time, and then we'll go to chapter 6, and then maybe one of them, if anyone can volunteer to read, can read maybe.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dhanyavad. So Mudaha and Naradama. I will read the Mudaha once again. Mudaha means those who are deluded. Why do they do these wrong actions? Because they are Mudaha, deluded. To put it in a simple form, they have a confusion of priorities. What exactly is important and what is not very clear. As a result, sometimes the end becomes so important, the propriety of the means is not considered. Even for religious fanatics, the end becomes so important that they compromise with reference to the means. This is an unfortunate thing. These people are called mudhas, deluded as they are about what is to be done and what is not to be done, karya and akarya. As a result, they become dushkritins. Dushkritins, people who did wrong actions previously and continue to do so under the spell of Maya. Naradama, Shankara says, among the human beings, there are people who are exalted, Utkrushta, lowly, Adhama, and in between, average, Madhyama. Being lowly in terms of behavior is entirely due to thinking. Essentially, there is no sinner, but due to ignorance and a lack of discrimination, people do behave improperly. They can gain a good discriminative faculty through doing good karma, at least in this life. But even for this, a change in thinking has to occur. That is why grace is required and therefore prayer. Why are they like this? Mayaya apahrita jnana. These are people whose discrimination is robbed away by Maya. Apahrita jnana means those who have lost their viveka because of the very Maya that they have crossed. Maya, we have seen, means ignorance and its products, likes and dislikes and so on. It becomes
Jai Gurudev Bela, there is a lot of break.
Can
You're not
someone
able
take
to hear?
over from here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll take over for some time. Can you just bring the page down a little bit? I want to read the last sentence one more time.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. So Naradhamaha is fine. Being lowly in terms of behavior is entirely due to thinking. Essentially, there is no sinner. But due to ignorance and a lack of discrimination, people do behave improperly. They can gain a good discriminative faculty through doing good karma, at least in this life. But even for this, a change in thinking has to occur. That is why grace is required and therefore prayer. So here the beautiful thing is about the importance of prayer. Krishna and Swami, they do not undermine the prayer. That is why bhakti as well as jnana both are required for moksha. So through prayer, what happens? You uh, you attain grace, and through grace there is this change of thinking that happens, and with that change of thinking, you start developing that discriminative faculty and thinking what is important, what is priority, what is not priority, what is the means and the end. Am I focusing only on the end and not the means? So this change in thinking happens with prayer, because when you do good karma, prayer is one of those that gives you this adrishta phala. So why are they like this? Mayaya apahrita jnana. These are people whose discrimination is robbed away by Maya. Apahrita jnanas means those who have lost their viveka because of the very Maya that they have to cross. Maya, we have seen, means ignorance, and its products, likes and dislikes, and so on. It becomes a decoy. Robbed by this Maya, one is bereft of his treasure, jnana, which here means viveka. That rational discriminative faculty is our treasure. And if the treasure which is given only to a human being is taken away by Maya, these people become totally given to the condition of an asura. Asuram bhavam ashritaha. So again, it is because of apahrita jnana, because of ignorance, because of the veil of ignorance or Maya, they behave the way they are. There is actually no sinner. It is only the way of thinking. They're not able to think right because of the effect of Maya. And therefore, they get into likes and dislikes and all the negative spirals. Who is an asura? Should we stop here for Manana, or how much more of this is there? Who is an asura?
Only 3 paragraphs are there, like.
Okay, so should we read then? I think we'll read this. It will complete this. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, the shloka will complete. Who is an asura? Asuram bhavam ashritah refers to people who have resorted to the qualities of an asura. Sura means the one who revels in himself or in things that are good. Asura means the opposite, that is, the one who revels in all the things that are not good. It can also mean asusu ramate, the one who revels only in the sense organs, meaning the sense enjoyments, wine, women, horse races, discourse, and so on. Or, as Shankara takes it, himsa, actually on the himsa antriyadi lakshanam asuram bhavam. Asura bhava is nothing but a tendency to hurt others, tell lies, etc. Himsa means hurting another for the sake of personal gain, like money or pleasure. Anartha is falsehood, and adi can be taken to mean all other false values like stealing. Lakshana means characteristic. So these are the characteristics of the state of mind and lifestyle of an asura. Given to this, naturally, they do not seek Ishvara. Carried away by fancies and wrong values, they will be totally given to the life of an asura. And they do not come to Ishvara at all. They do not even think of Ishvara. The Lord just does not come into their lives. Krishna himself tells us in the next verse that to overcome this seemingly hopeless situation, one need not even know Ishvara as oneself. Just the understanding that there is Ishvara is good enough. Then a certain attitude and prayer will develop, and one will find that changes begin to take place. These changes occur only with a prayerful attitude. And see, this is why in Karma Yoga, if you remember, understanding that Ishvara is there, taking Ishvara to be the Karma Phala Data is so important. You cannot just do Karma Yoga negating Ishvara. Can you lift the page up, Bela? So, Himsa anartadi lakshanam asuram bhavam. Yeah. Therefore, it is not totally hopeless. There is a chance. Krishna is going to explain that in the next verse. From here till the end of the chapter, he will be talking about people given to good works and attitudes, sukritins. Even for those who are prayerful, only in distress there is hope. They may not think of Ishvara at all until they get into some trouble, but at least they think of Ishvara at that time. There are some who, even in trouble, will not think of him. But even if they think of him only in distress, there is a change. That is what we call conversion. Once Ishvara is accommodated in one's life, the change takes place thereafter. Then the next verse is Chaturvida Bhajantema. We'll stop here for Manana. So we'll close our eyes, and any para anyone wants to kind of repeat?
I wasn't sure. Did you skip the? All right, I didn't listen. The middle paragraph, Krishna himself.
No, Krishna himself tells us, no, I read that.
Oh, you did. You did.
Do
Okay.
you want me to read one more time? See, Krishna himself tells us in the next verse that to overcome this seemingly hopeless situation, one need not even know Ishvara as oneself. Just the understanding that there is Ishvara is good enough. That there is a higher power, that there is a divinity up there who will take care of me. So yesterday or day before, Persiji was saying, I only think of Gurudev. That is fine. I mean, as long as you are hooked on to, or you reach out to a higher power when you surrender, when you're in trouble, or even otherwise. We'll come to the four kinds of devotees in the next verse. So just that understanding that there's a higher power is enough. Then a certain attitude and prayer will develop, and one will find that changes begin to take place. These changes occur only with a prayerful attitude and recognition of Ishvara in one form or another. So it does not mean only Vasudeva, it does not mean only Krishna. You hold on to one and stick with that. Don't keep changing that. So that is what is meant. That is what really paves the way for an inner conversion to take place. Therefore, it is not totally hopeless. There is a chance. Krishna is going to explain that in the next verse. From here till the end, he talks of Sukrutins. Even for those who are prayerful, only in distress there is hope. They may not think of Ishvara at all until they get into some trouble, but at least they think of Ishvara at that time. There are some who, even in trouble, will not think of him. But even if they think of him only in distress, there is a change. That is what we call conversion. He's all talking about the change in our thinking process. When you direct all that to Ishvara, just that recognition that there is that higher power, then there is a change in your attitude. And you will not be like a boat which is without any direction. You have a direction. At
Yeah,
least
here,
you will,
like you read, where when you're in distress, I mean, which is true, where you're in trouble, you think that's what we call conversion. So basically, it's,
yeah.
It's only when you need you go to God. That sounds
Correct.
like it. Once Ishvara is accommodated in one's life, the change takes place thereafter. So that should be something nitya karma, nitya
right,
stuff.
right.
Yeah.
See, now everything is coming slowly into perspective, no? Why Nitya Karma is important. Why we have to do what we're doing. So let's close our eyes and think, reflect upon this and come with our takeaways. Is anyone sharing their takeaways?
Yeah, I wanted to share today that the whole, whatever we read today, was that we get lost in Maya, and our attention is not on the fact that we are Atma. And then at some point of time, even the Lord comes in the form, Vasudeva comes in the form of Mohini and creates further turmoil. And that example of Bhasmasura was given. And it is like most of us, like when we are going back, all the time our this thing focus is not on the divine. It is like, okay, we are doing our work and we are lost in our work without the uppermost thought being on the divine. And that happens to most of us. And we get caught up in this Maya. And a lot of contemplation I was doing yesterday with chapter 6 and today what we were doing. And the other end, what he was talking about, the extreme situations of asuras, and then how Lord Shiva has to go to Lord Vishnu, and then he takes the role of Mohini and makes him into Bhasmasura. That whole story. So we that extreme, we may not be that extreme. There may be people like say now the war situations that are going on. There people may inflict wounds, injuries on others, making life miserable for people around them. Probably we do not belong to that category of asura, but at the same time, our entire concentration is not on the divine. And there was that story where Narada asked the divine that this farmer, when he's sowing seeds, when he's tilling the soil, he's singing your praises. Even when he sits to eat, he sings your praises. He praises you for providing him a meal, though what he is eating is very frugal. And you are very fond of him, like, and you give boons to him. So, like, I am very close to you, and you don't. So then the divine says to him that you carry this pot of oil and do parikrama around the temple. And it is filled to the brim. And he says that, see that not a single drop falls. Then I will answer you. And then when he comes back, Narada, uh, he asks him that, did a drop of oil spill? He said, no, I was so attentive. And the way I walked, my entire concentration was on the oil not spilling. So then the divine said, did you get the answer? Your whole concentration was on the oil not spilling. It was not on me. So probably we are also at that level where our attention span is not all the time on the Lord. We do get lost in our worldly affairs, our children or our family members or whatever. And maybe our attention is not fully on the Lord all the time. At least I won't profess to say that it is there all the time. This story, I don't know exactly the story very well, but like it just came up to me that maybe we are at this level where we are not all the time thinking of the divine, like the farmer was. And though it is explained here that these asuras are there, maybe we are not even at that extreme level of inflicting. We are not going to inflict wounds on others. We are not going to cause them misery and sorrow. That is also not our nature. Jai Gurudev.
Yeah, and also the different kinds of um, misinterpretations of the verse. So we should ensure that we understand that clearly and that we don't get into that that frame where and then come to the Utkrishta, Madhyama, and the Adhama categories. And we ourselves should kind of do self introspection and see how many asuric qualities we have. We might not be, like Varsity said, out and out like terrorists and people who want to inflict wounds. But anything, if you actually, I think I should have read that paragraph on ask the definition of asura. Even asusam bhavam, antaryadi bhavam. So, one second. Huh? So even if he is engrossed, indulging in sense objects, even that becomes an asura guna. Sura is someone who revels in himself, whereas asura is someone who revels in everything other than himself. So that if we are able to also look at ourselves and see how much of uh, the sura qualities are we showing up, that will be an important aspect of our contemplation.
Yeah, here he basically says who doesn't, I wouldn't say follow him or taking refuge in him, in me alone. Like he categorizes those evil, like Duskritinos, what do you call it, Mudagas and Naradama, like all these evil forces and all that. They don't, they go in that wrong direction because they don't have the discriminative knowledge, and then they're not seeking seeking him, or that's what is mentioned here, right? The last
Yeah, that is true. It is
yeah,
a way of thinking which is distorted,
thinking,
which is not right.
yeah. So
Where they give
behavior,
importance to the go
yeah,
ahead.
then thinking, the behavior and thinking um is really matters. Like the previous sloka was talking about the three gunas, where he said it is difficult to cross these three gunas because of this Maya. So you you again taking that path of devotion or bhakti and acquiring the knowledge and all that is what going to help to cross that samsara or maya. So this part of this guna, we talked about the sattvic, rajasic and tamasic guna, which we really want to uh, get away from the tamasic nature because of this laziness or not able to. I mean, we may have like, okay, when you're sleeping or resting, but that's different from that being not not willing to do anything. And at least it's better to be in rajasic nature. At least you have some ambition or goal or something to move around. And then on top of that is the sattvic nature, which is the good, noble thought and spiritual path. I mean, taking the spiritual path and that kind of stuff. So that's what I got some by reading it. I think it is extensive. Like you said, we do want to keep in mind some of this, like you mentioned, wrongly uh, mistaken, like Krishna. I mean, of course, Krishna is we all love him, and but then the way, the mantra and all these things here, only to worship Krishna or only to Vishnu and things like that. Even in Bhagavad Gita, he himself said, you can take upon any god that you want to do, but then what is the effect also has been described in those things. So anyway, oh, and another thing I want to like Percy G was saying, yes, we are, even though, we are acquiring this knowledge, understanding it, and we still have to do nididhyasana and all that. But still, I think having that thought, like our goal is like Atma, reaching out to, I mean, knowing that it's a light within us, and trying to have that uh, contemplating on it is what is needed, and so that will kind of take us nearer to that. One other thing is, it's not like one more thing to achieve when you're talking about talking, I mean, to achieve this knowledge, but then again, you take the right kind of steps and get there. But slowly but surely we'll get there.
Very beautifully expressed, Dr. Mara.
Yeah.
So we have a few minutes for chapter 6, verse number 20, 22, right? 22, 23, both the verses.
Yeah, it's actually very fun to read those two. Two.
Yeah, it is.
It
What
lot
I
of
would think
yeah. Go
is
ahead.
maybe we should just share what we have understood, and then it'll be a good idea to read the PDF one more time.
Yeah, it's really fun to read it because Swamiji has given a lot of good examples, which really it's kind of fun as well as it's meaningful.
Hey, Gurudev, and also stick on to one, deity like Kitaya. Don't keep on shifting to Ramaya and Shivaya like that, That will give you real focus and you will evolve. This also would like to tell.
Well, but one thing, I was kind of listening to another Swamiji's talk, where he mentions about all of it is a reflection of this one consciousness, whether you're doing this God, worshipping the images, like, um, you take example of this Ganesha or Durga, or this all this we worship, and then we put them in the ocean, the one we worshipped, which means it's all like an object, so, but we kind of have some kind of base, we have that kind of support for us to invoke the divine within that image, and then once we know it is an atma, and we also, I mean, there are all this chanting, we don't want to limit the God within that form or image, so we want their forgive us for making it this way, but it just to support us. That's what we are doing with this image worship.
I completely agree with you. See, for beginners, it is better for them to stick to one, so that all their attention focus is directed to just that one deity. But after having been exposed to this knowledge and know that there is only one divinity, there is only that Advaita, it's only manifesting in different ways. And what Krishna also says in chapter 4, I think he says, whichever deity you propitiate, know that the results are coming from me alone. So whoever it is coming only from him, the results. So that way, if we have this attitude in our mind that there's only one supreme, there is only the one, then it doesn't really matter, because you're doing it with that attitude of bhakti, of devotion, that will yoke you to that, to the divine. So I think with that attitude, it does not really matter whether you pray to Rama, Shiva. That is my understanding.
Yeah,
But
I agree. We won't even have time for one God like that. But I mean, in a way, we kind of so used to start with Ganesha and go with the Devi and all this, right? And so when you're not doing it, also you feel like, oh, I haven't done something. That kind of comes to mind time to time. But then again, I as usual we chant those small slokas and then go spend a little bit more time with then one Ishta Devata and go from there. The slokas supposed to be review is 22 and 23. I'm seeing the page 24 and 25.
yeah, 22
I'm
and
sorry.
23, I think.
Oh,
I
I'm
think it is
really
from
sorry.
Yam Labdva Chaparam Labham.
Yeah, that's one.
Oh, you could have told me before. Okay, sorry. Extremely sorry. Yeah.
No worry. I just thought I was wondering what I don't remember reading this, so I was looking at it and okay, yeah.
Help to go ahead, my dear.
So
You want to read PDF?
No, we don't have time to read the PDF
no, let
now.
me.
Maybe
Okay.
we will
All right.
just share
I just
a
wanted
brief
to.
summary, and then maybe tomorrow we'll spend a little more time on this, 15 minutes or so. We'll be able to then read the PDF. Huh?
Okay. So may I or Dr. I'm sorry, Dr.
Please go ahead,
Savita.
Dr. Mara. Please go ahead.
Sorry, I had very little memory of everything, but I read. But and verse 22, basically, what is there to gain, in doing in this particular one, yam latva chab param labam. Labam is like every, it's a gain, right? Gain. By what are we gaining? Yasmin Tito na dukkena gurunapi vichalyate. So basically, by pursuing this path, what we gain, in that's probably what I I I gather here. But then when you gain it, nobody can not take it away from you. Just uh, even Guru Napi Vichalyate, meaning he even by great sorrow that once you attain Atma, that it's not going to affect you, so that's again I felt that was the one I thought I read in this one. And then this samyogam, viyogam, basically the samyogam is the union with the dukkha samyogam. So when the union with the dukkha, nobody wants to feel sorrow all the time, sad all the time. So the Bhagavan Krishna is saying this dissociation from that association of the dukkha. That's a yoga he wants us to practice, viyogam. So this particular one, yesterday we talked about it, but that will happen like um, when you have this nischayena yoktavyo. So when you persistently you follow, okay, what do you call it? Follow it. I'm sorry, I forgot the meaning of the nischayana is you continue to follow that path to attain. I mean, you do this yoga. That's basically what I yoga to attain this atma knowledge or the gain the knowledge. So once you do that, that helps to go away from this yoga part. I mean, get the yogam also.
Thank you, Dr.
I know I
Mara.
got my words are all mixed up here.
Doesn't matter. Thank you. So we'll wind up here today and we'll continue this tomorrow. We'll read the PDF. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishnarpanamastu.